Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DLF Trade Show. Man, I would say the best trade anything ever, but the NFL is putting us to shame. This is crazy. Whew. And speaking of crazy NFL trades, clearly we can't talk about the fact that Tyreek Hill literally just got traded to the Dolphins because you guys aren't quick enough to make those trades to get into the trade finder that we could put into the trade analyzer. And then, yeah, but man, next week? Probably, yeah. Okay,
Oh yeah.
but we are actually going to use the NFL trades that have happened in the past week or so, and we're going to see what happened to these players' values when they move teams, because that is what we're kind of looking at. What changed values when they moved, and once or twice we have what happened to those guys that were already there once they got something else on. You'll figure it out as we go along. I have faith in all of you. You're all smarties. You watch us, of course you are. And Addison makes 10,000 videos a week, so and he's a smart guy. If you listen to him, you get a little bit smarter, a little bit.
Yeah. You could have been trading Trevor Lawrence for Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah,
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. First thing he said to me, the second he put me in the StreamYard stream, he's just like, I don't know, man. I think I'd rather have Tua. Yes, you would rather have Tua. I get it. I get it. We are going to start with the Cleveland Browns. See, I can't even sit still. I'm like excited for this. We're starting with the Cleveland Browns. 12-team Superflex League. The first is the big deal. The big deal. Deshaun Watson, who comes in on the trade analyzer at 612.2, traded for Kirk Cousins, a 23 first, and a 24 first. After a package adjustment comes in at 812.0. This fits everything we always said. You should overpay to go get the highest asset, and Deshaun Watson is easily the highest asset. I'm a little unthrilled with the fact that it's a 24 and not an early first this year or even just another 23 first. But I love this. Like, if you don't want Deshaun Watson for whatever reason it is, personal, you think he's going to get suspended for a year, miss time, you just don't think he'll have it after missing all of this time, whatever reason it is, if you have Deshaun Watson on your team and don't want him there anymore, I think this is great. Kirk Cousins got extended, right?
he gets another year. He gets 22 and 23.
Exactly. Yeah, he's going to be on the Vikings for at least another year or two. And he is still good enough at the point where if he goes anywhere else, he's going to start. So Kirk Cousins, completely safe. Kirk Cousins' production, always completely safe, especially when he's on the Vikings and he has Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith. Sorry, guys. And Dalvin Cook or Alexander Madison to throw the ball to the backfield. And then 23 firsts are gold. And yeah, again, 24 first. 24 is so far away, but it's a first. It's going to appreciate in value every day that goes forward. Once the 22 draft, your 22 draft is done, your rookie draft, the 24s will start kicking up in value a little bit because they'll only be in the system that 1 year out. The fact that we have 22, 23, 24 makes those even just, again, completely psychological because not much is going to change between now and 6 weeks by the time we get our, oh no, never mind. Yeah, no, like 6 weeks by the time we do our rookie drafts. So, but still, the fact that those 22 picks will be gone, you'll just see 23, 24, they'll gain a little bit of value. It'll be easier to trade away. I love this. Like, this to me makes perfect sense on both sides. Watson gives you that ceiling with a bit of risk. The other side is just so safe. It's wonderful.
I see. So my first initial reaction to this was, I'm surprised that Deshaun Watson is so high at 612 because when things happen, the analyzer takes a little bit of time to catch up because of how much it weighs in ADP in our rankings and just kind of all that stuff. So with the fact that we didn't have new ADP after the Deshaun Watson trade to Cleveland, this is going to take a while to catch up. And I do wonder if, I know you said this is overpaying a little to get the better asset in Deshaun Watson, but is this an overpay? Because right now the analyzer is using the fact that his ADP is 33rd overall in a Superflex startup, which actually translates to, I looked it up, the quarterback 15 in that ADP. So now he's going to bump pretty hard. Like the guys above him who he's going to jump Rodgers, Hurts, probably Russell Wilson. He'll jump all three of the sophomores in Lance, Lawrence, and Fields. So he's now like, and I wouldn't be surprised if he bumps Dak Prescott either, or maybe even Kyler Murray with all the stuff going on in Arizona like that. And that puts him as a borderline top 5 quarterback, which is going to raise his value.
He
in the
absolutely is a borderline top 5 quarterback.
Right. So that's why I'm wondering, like, this might not actually end up being an overpay, and we only view it as an overpay because the analyzer's taking a little bit of time to catch up. So it could very well be 812 to 800, in which case that's an even trade. But in our mind, Deshaun Watson's the better asset. So I like this as a buy low, which is still kind of a buy high, but it's a buy low.
It's a buy high because you might be able to sell higher.
True. Yes. Yep.
So we're putting a real relative on low if we call this a buy low.
Yeah.
He'll go from QB7 to QB6. Oh, I mean, that's technically up. I mean, all right.
His value's super insulated for sure. Like moving forward,
especially if someone were to trade for him now, they're not going to change their value on him, especially down. Amari Cooper also got traded to the Browns before, which is okay. Amari Cooper in a 12-team Superflex league for, a 23 second and the 209 this year.
This was made, I will say, this trade was made after the Deshaun Watson trade. So this was fully in knowledge of the fact that Amari Cooper is the wide receiver 1 for Deshaun Watson.
Okay. We are just disrespecting Amari Cooper. That's what this is. That's what we've been doing for way too long. The problem with Amari Cooper has always been we liked him too much coming into the league. Mm-hmm. He came into the league 16 years old, and we're like, he's going to be the wide receiver 1. And he never really lived up to it. If Amari Cooper came in and was drafted in the rookie drafts, not the 101, 102, because it was like him and Melvin Gordon, I think, back then, at the top of because I didn't play Superflex back then, so 1 QB is all I knew. And if he was like the 107, 108, and we were just like, dude's going to be good, we would have loved Amari Cooper's career. Like, I really just think it's our expectations that ruined it. Amari Cooper is an insanely safe wide receiver too. And just saying those words, this is crazy cheap for an insanely safe wide receiver too. Then add in, he has what can be a top 5 quarterback in NFL league, like real life quarterback. That's got to bump him up even more. I get if you don't like Cooper anymore. He's 27. He's been in the league for 18 years and he's finally 27. I mean, cut the guy a break. But yeah, this is too low for me.
Yeah, I thought this was a deal that was like post Cooper trade where we thought he was the wide receiver 1 for Baker.
I could see
2 seconds for him.
Yeah, that's fair. That is okay. That's a little bit more fair when you say it like that, but I still don't like it.
Yeah, but this was made 100% after the Deshaun Watson trade. I checked that for sure, which was even weirder to me that he was going for 2 seconds. Like, I would totally be in on trying to see if I could get that kind of value for Amari Cooper right now. And like you said that we undervalue him or we don't like him because he didn't meet our expectations originally. And in my mind, he was like the original Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yes.
Of like this guy who we just put on a pedestal, did not get there, was still solid, but we're like, nope, he didn't get there. I'm done. And also I do
crazy young, is a perfect parallel.
Yeah. So I do really like Amari Cooper on the Browns now with Deshaun Watson. He's going to be playing like the exact same role that he had with Dak Prescott a couple years ago before they drafted CeeDee Lamb, which I believe he was like a very solid mid wide receiver too. And he had some pretty hardcore spike.
He made it up to like wide receiver 13, 14 one of those seasons.
I believe. I think you're right.
But also, the Browns are going to throw the ball more with Deshaun Watson. Like, they're not going to be what they were with Baker.
I think just think about like if he's Jarvis Landry, what Jarvis Landry was last year, like that's like super solid. And I would pay 209 and a 23 second for Jarvis Landry to get Jarvis Landry production from Amari Cooper this year.
Yeah.
And then, but I know that he's probably going to be better than that.
Yeah, again, it's tough because I know you're not getting a first for Amari Cooper anymore, but it still makes me angry and I don't like it. So, like, I take my outrage back a little bit. I definitely overreacted and I apologize for that. I'm working on myself. But
in 2019, Amari Cooper was the wide receiver 10
10. Okay, it was even higher than I thought it was.
on 120 targets.
Yeah, like to me, this just seems so easy for a guy you can absolutely plug in. This year at the 209 is such a dart throw, and I know 23 picks are just gold, gold, gold. But man, you can get a 23 second back anytime you want. Like to me, right now. So yeah, to me, I would easily send that for Cooper, but I don't know if I would take that for Cooper. If that was like the 203 in a 23 second, I would do it.
I would try to get that one.
Yeah, I've come to accept that you won't, but I want that this year's second to be earlier.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
All right, we're gonna go to. Like, I don't even know. Words failed me for this. Russell Wilson and Nick Chubb for Josh Allen, a 23 first and a 23 second. That's not what I was expecting. Okay. This is, again, going to be a little offset by the fact that this is too soon post Russell Wilson trade to really reflect maybe what happened. We have 602.9 for Wilson, 436.4 for Chubb, total of 1039.3. Josh Allen, 938.8, 23 first, 365.3. And good for you getting a second at it also for 127.7, total of 1431.8. Is there a world where this isn't Josh Allen in the picks?
No. No, this one's so easily Josh Allen.
Okay, this is. Let me try and find a way to word this so I stay my nice self. If you have one of these players that go to a new team or a situation changes where they value goes up, Russell Wilson, his value went up moving from Seattle to the Broncos, whether it should or it shouldn't, doesn't matter. It's the non-point scoring season. It's all hypothetical. It is all whatever someone feels like valuing people at. Do this right away. Shoot for the moon, because someone will give Josh Allen a 23 first and a 23 second for a 33-year-old quarterback who just changed teams and a 26-year-old running back on a team that's now going to start passing more. Like, I love Russell Wilson. I love Nick Chubb as NFL players. Fantasy assets. But man, Josh Allen, who's scored as the QB1 for the past 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure, and QB2 the year before, 23 first, the gold we were just talking about, and somehow a 23 second also. Yeah, go do that. And don't be that guy that did it the other way around. Don't overpay for hype.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is so easily. Yeah, because I know it's quarterbacks and whatnot, but like you drop 8 years in age from Russell Wilson to Josh Allen, you get better production. You get, I don't know if this was a Seattle thing or a Russell Wilson thing, but you get at least the second half production from Josh Allen.
I am going to wait and see. Before I go and trade for a share of Russell Wilson, I'm waiting to the end of the season to see how he goes from week 10 to week 17, because I've been hurt and I don't want it to happen again. It's
so weird. It's like the weirdest. Like the first season, it was like, all right, that was weird. The second season, it was like, that was weird. Like, okay, with the
third year, wait a second.
Fifth year, we're like, what are we? Like, this is actually a trend now.
And the thing is, it's always been Pete Carroll, but it's been 5-6 different offensive coordinators at this point, and it's always the same. Maybe it's Pete Carroll, maybe it's Russell Wilson. I am absolutely okay waiting to see which that answer is.
Yeah, but either way, you can wait and see what that answer is while you got Josh Allen in a 2023 first on your team instead.
Okay, let me ask you a question. This to me is a very important question. Let's say Russell Wilson goes out, plays as well as he does in Seattle for the first half of the season, the entire season. He finishes QB 6 to 8.
He might be higher than that.
I'm trying to keep it as somewhat neutral but good as possible. Does Russell Wilson's value go up? Because we're talking 34-year-old, and a year in 2023, we're going to have a good inflow of quarterbacks.
Plus all the young guys that he still has to bump over. I mean, we mentioned that before. It's so hard for players to enter that range when you have Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. Like, not even to get to Josh Allen, but just to get into that range is really hard.
And once you're in your 30s, I don't think it's possible, even though, again, we have a 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers and a 44-year-old Tom Brady still killing it. But I think any trade you can pull off right now to go get Russell Wilson, the exact same value trade, because the guys you're offering will change in value also. But I still think the exact same trade, hypothetically, will work after the season, regardless of how well he does. It's like Leonard Fournette. Like, his value is not going to go up. It's just the way of the community, the dynasty community world, where they're old, their situation was tenuous for way too long, and we just don't trust them anymore.
Yeah. I mean, look at Matthew Stafford, just as like a final like point on that. Like, Stafford was fantastic. He's on a great team, great offense, great wide receivers, about ish the same age as Russell Wilson, and he's still a borderline QB1.
Yeah.
So
let's move on to 14-team Superflex. Fun. Cortland Sutton and DJ Chark. And the other side is Travis Etienne and a 24 first. The analyzer for the Cortland side, 225.3. The Etienne side, Etienne is 271.8. The 24 first, 230. So yeah, this is 501.8 to 225.3. This is another great example of selling free agent movings hype. I love Cortland Sutton. I so bad want Cortland Sutton to be a thing.
Did you see the video of Russell Wilson throwing to Cortland Sutton, though?
There's a video of Russell
Wilson. There's a video. Oh, yeah. It's like a 50-yard touchdown bomb.
Pause the show.
Let's shoot the ball. And when he tells you ain't nothing, don't. And if you can't learn to love me, I see you.
Yeah, I really think it's going to work out well. DJ Chark will probably get targets, assuming they don't spend high draft capital on a wide receiver, which they have so many holes that they probably won't. The other side comes with risk is the wrong word completely, but ETN has a lot of risk involved.
Right.
We haven't seen anything. We don't know. So maybe he's not healing well. Maybe he's just a private guy. The thing is, we just don't know. The 24 first, again, I talked about it before. It's so far away. So that's what makes this trade a little weird. And maybe one of the few trades I would say I would absolutely just not pay attention to an analyzer, because this has to go on field. All of this. And as much as I want to feel and get those wide receivers that I love, I think the value's on too easily on ETN in the first. And not just, again, what it says here, but what you can do with these players once you get them on your team. Like, Cortland Sutton has to probably score as a high-end wide receiver too, to really get that spike we want. And maybe, probably not. Like, I'm just going to cross my fingers. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I was super close. Like, would you take ETN or Cortland Sutton straight up? Because I think I'm Sutton.
I still think the value of ETN is better.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm talking about players I like and would I just do it for doing it, I still would want a little bit. Like, honestly, it would have to be like, for me to trade away ETN, it'd have to be like Sutton in a second.
Okay.
Like, there's a difference there.
To me, that was a pretty close. Sutton and Cortland, Sutton and ETN are pretty close to where I think that they're somewhat even on each side.
That's fair, though.
To where then the problem is DJ Chark for a 2024 first. Yeah. That's where the issue comes in. And that's where, like I agree with you. Like, I really want Cortland Sutton to be a thing. Like, I was a big fan of him when he was coming out of college. And I really wanted him to be that wide receiver that we saw him be before he tore his ACL. And now I'm hopeful that he can be with Russell Wilson. But like, just the value and like what you said, like what you could do with ETN in a 24 first, as opposed to Cortland Sutton in a somewhat dead asset in DJ Chark on the Detroit Lions. Like, I was trying to look at ADP just to see who's like kind of ish around where DJ Chark is now that you could replace him with. Juju's down there. I don't think you can get that done, but I would take that side. Gallup is down there. Even like if you were going for production, like Brandon Cooks is still sitting down there too. And he would at least give you top 24 production, pretty well. I feel like I would even, if you swapped out DJ Chark for Calvin Ridley at this point, Like, I feel like you could get that deal done, and I might take Sutton in the shot on Calvin Ridley instead.
Yeah.
And these are all still players that I would rather have a 24 first than, but
Yeah.
I think that this makes the trade a lot closer for me to where those feelings that I have for Cortland Sutton over Travis Etienne would be something where I might just say, yeah, let's go for it and let's see what this deal does.
To help your point, again, insanely super small sample size. That was very tough to say. Super small sample size. I got easier the second
Super
time.
small sample size.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Took a second. I did a 1 QB mock draft for DLF for ADP's purposes, and at 409, Travis Etienne went. Cortland Sutton 502.
Yeah.
Right, like pretty much next to each other.
Yeah.
And then Jerry Jeudy at the 504. I just happened to see his name and they're on the same team, so I thought about it. But yeah, like you're right. They might be closer than I think they are. And I really, honestly, I think I attribute that to the ETN hype spilling over from like draft people. Like, why would his value really drop much when he's coming back and healthy on a team that will be better than the one he was technically drafted to? Let's move on to I assume, our last team in the Raiders. 12-team Superflex. We're going to go with the guy that got traded first. Let's talk about Devontae Adams being traded for a 23 first, the 109, and Christian Kirk. The package adjustment is Christian Kirk. Devontae Adams comes in at 591.8, the 23 first, 365.3. A 109 comes in at 263.9, and that totals at 629.9. Devontae Adams, again, the 591. So yeah, this is actually pretty fair. Okay, I'm going to ramble for a second. I love Devontae Adams. I went into last season saying Devontae Adams was still my wide receiver 1 over Justin Jefferson because we've seen it once from Justin Jefferson. Devontae Adams, we've seen it from for like 6 years. I'm exaggerating. No, I'm not really exaggerating anymore. From his third year on, from like 2017 and 2018 on, so that's 4 or 5 years. He's been great. And honestly, I don't care that he's changing teams. He's that good. And the Raiders aren't that bad. So, and that's all I need. I now accept that he is not the wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 anymore because age, and we saw Justin Jefferson do it again, and Jamar Chase is he's that guy. That's fine. And I am irrationally happy with Christian Kirk landing in Jacksonville. Irrationally into it. There's no reason for it. I always liked the player ever since, draft stuff, reading about him before and listening about him when he was coming into the league. And he's shown enough when he was used enough in Arizona that he can be a 100 yards and 2 touchdowns guy. Not saying every game, but he has the ability to do that. So if we put him into a team with Trevor Lawrence, who I still think is a very good quarterback, a better system than Urban Meyer ran. Don't even need to see it to say that. And he's going to be the best pass catcher there. So I'm there for that. Like, if we can take those weird games that we couldn't figure out between Marvin Jones and Jamal Agnew, throw them all into Christian Kirk, minus a little bit because we can't get too excited. Probably a decent wide receiver too, low end maybe, but still. What was Christian Kirk going for? 74, like the package adjustment in this trade. That's what he was going for. So again, it is absolutely irrational, but I love it and I'm here for it. That being said, yeah, I got to take that package. That's too much. I love Devontae Adams, but he's another one of those examples where no matter what he does, his value isn't going up. Mm-hmm. He's too old. There's too many good young wide receivers, and there's going to be at least one wide receiver that comes in this year, whether it's Burks, Wilson, or one of the, like Jamison Williams, some like random guy we keep in the back end of the first, who's going to be awesome. And that's going to push Adams down even more. And then next year, we're going to come in some more good wide receivers. And then Adams will be like 31. We're going to push him down even more for that. Like, nothing's getting Adams' value back up. So if you're telling me I can get 2 firsts and just a guy to plug in my wide receiver spots, I'm absolutely down.
Yeah. I would sell Devontae Adams for this. I would not be buying Adams for this. If I had this kind of package and I wanted to go get that stud wide receiver for like a competing team, right? Where, you can move all that. for a wide receiver that you know is going to be great. I would rather do it for somebody now like Cooper Kupp. I don't think you can get Justin Jefferson for this, but like, try to get in that range of wide receiver. And Adams, I don't think, in my opinion, is in that range anymore. I am all for the hype of the synergy between Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, kind of like what we saw like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, where it's like they just know, and I'm all here for that. But I am concerned that I know Devontae Adams is great. DeAndre Hopkins was also really great going from the Houston Texans to the Arizona Cardinals, also playing with Kyler Murray. And we just kind of saw that production just take a little bit of a hit. Like he wasn't utilized the same. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr are not the same types of quarterbacks. And we know how much Aaron Rodgers will just target the crap out of Devontae Adams whenever Rodgers is in trouble or whenever they're on like the 3-yard line and they just run that little like
or the
option,
4 or the 5 or the 6 or the
anywhere, 1,
anywhere
inside the 5, it's Devontae Adams scoring a touchdown. I don't think that's going to happen on the Vegas Raiders. So I think Devontae Adams takes a little bit of a production hit. Not saying that he's going to be bad. I still think he's a back-end wide receiver 1. But if we start seeing back-end wide receiver 1 seasons instead of wide receiver 1 overall seasons, that's going to drop his value down as, like you said, his age just continues to go down. And, it's just going to drop and drop and drop. Meanwhile, those assets on the other side, the 2 firsts, are just, they're just going to keep going up. And I will say, I slightly cheated this one a little bit just because that 2023 first, this was from a Devy league. So that 2023 first is actually Tank Bigsby, who is probably a top 3 running back in this class anyway. Yeah. So I just threw it. He's going to be a first-round pick. So I was just like, if you just take a random first in there instead of Bigsby, and we can just talk about it there. But yeah, I would take the young assets right now over Devontae Adams.
Would you trade away Devontae Adams if you just pick a first and take it away? No. Like, would you trade away Devontae Adams for a 23 first and Christian Kirk?
No.
Yeah, see, to me, like, it's especially with the name Tank there. I might, because first of all, his name is Tank Bigsby, which is just phenomenal. Second of all, he's good. But I'm going to trade for so much Devontae Adams after this season. It's going to be silly because he'll probably finish as wide receiver like 8, and people are going to think it's bad. And then next year, when he gets that discount for being great, but another year older, you could probably get him for the 109, and I'm going to be all over it. Well, this year's 109, not next year's 109, because next year's 109 is like 2 firsts already. So,
yeah.
We're going to talk about Derek Carr again, someone who was greatly affected by the trade, but wasn't actually traded himself. Straight up, Derek Carr, 23 first. Derek Carr, 292.5. The 23 first, 365.3. Sure. I mean, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't trade a 23 first for Carr?
No. Okay, here's my thing. I am very happy we are now in a world of super flex, at least 12 teams, where every starting quarterback isn't worth a first. It was like that for a very long time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of starting quarterbacks you can get for a second right now. And I'm not even just talking about the old guys. Like, 2 years ago, it was like Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers and stuff like that, and like Drew Brees at the end of his career. But no, now, I mean, Carson Wentz, you can easily get for a second. Marcus Mariota is now a starter. You're not paying a first. Jameis Winston, you really don't have to pay a first for him. I mean, I just got him for the 112 because I just felt like it. And I overpaid. I don't care. My quarterbacks were Baker and Daniel Jones. So, I mean, what's the 112? I don't care. If there's a wide receiver that falls there, I'll just trade back for it. And it's, again, another one of my very low-cost leagues, so I could just do silly things in it. I don't want to give a first for Derek Carr. It's all it comes down to, especially a 23 pick, where they're valued up to the, 105 of this year at this point already? Like, I don't want to give a first right now. I don't want to give that up right now.
See, I totally would. because Carr's only 30 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And I said this whenever Aaron Rodgers signed the contract, and then Davante Adams got traded. But I think this is now even more important for the Raiders to do, was that I don't think that they would bring in Davante Adams and sign him to what is now the second highest paid wide receiver contract ever because of Tyreek Hill, and then not have him play with Derek Carr, which is like, and basically 99% of the reason why Davante Adams went to the Raiders.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So Carr's going to get the extension, I think, and they're already in talks to get that extension. So we're talking about a 30-year-old quarterback who puts up spike weeks, and is going to have, in my opinion, a little bit clearer of a picture in terms of his longevity and situation, tied with Davante Adams, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league. Now we're starting to talk about a younger Kirk Cousins, who I think could possibly be better. Would you trade a 23 first for Kirk Cousins?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. That ruined my argument. Okay. But I totally
Did I say
trade
no just to ruin your argument? Yeah, no. I think there's just better things I could do with that 23 first if I really felt like trading it away. Okay, let me rephrase that. Would I?
Going to be a really good quarterback too for the next like 4 or 5 years.
Probably yes.
And I would trade a 23 first for that.
Last season, Carr finished with 18.8 points per game. I know I score a little higher in my QBs where it's a point for 20 yards as opposed to 25. So he's probably a little lower, but still QB 16 points per game. And that's with Nick Foles above him, who played one game, so move him up, to 15 at least. And you're right. Absolutely super safe. But would you send a 23 first for Mac Jones right now?
No. But I think Carr's a lot better than Mac Jones. Carr to me is like the perfect quarterback 2 right now.
So is Mac Jones.
Mac is a 3.
I mean, his rookie year with a game that he threw the ball 3 times, he still finished with 16.5 points per game. And that's with what at wide receiver? Like, I don't think there's any, like, in a year and a half, Mac Jones will be that. Mac Jones will be what you're saying Derek Carr is.
So the difference last year between Joe Burrow and Derek Carr was 11 touchdowns.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but Carr had massive positive regression coming his way from touchdowns just in general.
Well,
now he actually has one of the best red zone weapons of all time.
They didn't have anybody. They didn't have any touchdown catchers. Waller, I love him, but he's a PPR
Hunter
guy.
Renfrow had 10 touchdowns for some reason.
Yeah, they did not have any touchdown scorer pass catchers because Jacobs can score touchdowns.
I mean, is it out of the question that Derek Carr is 4,830 next year? In which case, that's not all that dissimilar from Joe Burrow. In which case, I'm not here saying that Derek Carr should be a top 10 dynasty quarterback. I'm just saying I think that his value is a little lower than what it actually should be right now, and that value should be insulated for the next few years.
Yes.
To where if Derek Carr has that type of season next year and he actually is a QB1 in fantasy, then I think then I think we start bumping him over. I feel like he's in the same tier of guys. Like, we view him very similarly, like Ryan Tannehill.
I literally just looked at that name.
Or like he's still down in there with like Tua, and we're like he's above those guys. You know how much I love Tua. I think he's above those guys. Like, I think it goes like we start getting into like Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, break, Derek Carr, break, Cousins. You kind of see what I'm saying?
I take that breakaway though. I absolutely understand what you're saying, and I didn't want to interrupt, or maybe I did and I started to, but I felt bad and stopped. Would I trade a 23 first for Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins? Probably not. Is he worth it? Probably yes.
Okay.
So not to say you just said all that for nothing, but you're absolutely right. Everything you said was 90% right in my head. I think you have the ceiling of Derek Carr a little higher than I do, but I mean, hey man, shoot for the moon for a guy you believe in. Why not? But Yeah, no, yes, that should be the trade. To see right now Derek Carr being traded for the 201, in my head, that's what it should be. It would be weird to see it happen.
I
Right.
definitely do think I do agree with you in the sense that if I'm my first trade, if I have the 23 first and I want Derek Carr, is I would do Carr plus something.
Carr
That
in the
would be my
second.
first instinct.
Carr in the second for the first, I guess.
It doesn't even have to be a high second. It could be like the 208 for the 23 first. And that would probably be my first initial offer. And then if they came back and said, cut the 208, Carr for the first, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
See, I would shoot. Me and my first offers are always a little, but I would absolutely go Carr in the 201 for the 23 first. In fact, got rejected. I'm like, fine. What about like the 206? Like I to me wouldn't get rid of it for the first. But again, differing values is what makes us able to make trades. So no one is right, no one is wrong. That's a lie. There are plenty of people that are wrong, but it just use it to your advantage is, I guess, more of what I'm trying to say. And it's also a way to make these kinds of trades where no one feels bad leaving it. Like, I don't think, like, if you gave me a 23 first for Carr, I'd be thrilled. If he gave me a 23 first for Carr, he'd be thrilled that he just got Carr. So like that's perfect. That's what we're trying to show you.
Yeah.
Now, if he were to send me a 24 first for Devontae Adams, no one's leaving that trade happy. Because that's our horrible trade.
Because I got Devontae Adams for a 24 first.
Oh no, I'd reject it and say a lot of mean words to you. That's why you wouldn't leave happy. 12 team, one quarterback, Devontae Adams, 731.8, a 24 first, 230. Okay. Devontae Adams is old. Devontae Adams went to a new team. No. Okay. We, as a community, are going nuts for the 23 draft class. We don't know what the 23 draft class is actually going to look like. We have an idea of who's going to come out. We have an idea of how these players are going to play this coming season. We have zero idea what the 24 draft class is going to look like. Like, this is too early to be excited about the 24 draft class. This is too early to say this guy is going to give me the 101 and 24, especially if you're giving him Devontae Adams, assuming that's, their teams first. So much can change between now and next season, no less now and the season after it, by the time that draft pick gets a number to it. There's no reason for that.
Just wait until like half of the 23 class that we are so excited for stays in college, and then they're 2024 people.
Always. I mean,
then how excited are we going to be for 2024 though? That would be
remember when we thought Najee and ETN were going to be in the 2020 class?
Holy crap. Yeah, I remember that. How much better that class could have been.
But
and Devonta Smith.
No.
Yeah. This ain't it.
Nope.
Not like this.
No. Dynasty Trade Show. Not like this. On that note, Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes _ Dynasty Trade Show, DLF YouTube channel. Watch it. We'll see you next time.